everybody? It's Monday night, time for Talkin' Ball. Little basketball game going on here at the top of the hour that we're going to talk about a little bit. The Houston Cougars going for a national championship tonight against the Florida Gators. We'll see if that can happen. But actually, we're going to talk primarily about Texas football, recruiting, etc. Whatever you guys want to talk about. This is called Talkin' Ball, brought to you by our friend Brett Robin, Dr. Brett Robin over at Austin Orthopedic Institute, your choice for orthopedic work in Austin and the Central Texas area. Jerry, thank you for joining. We also have some somewhat breaking news of late. The House settlement, a attempt by the NCAA and plaintiffs to codify college sports in this decade, I guess, is ongoing. They're trying to reach a settlement agreement that would put roughly $20 million a year into college athletes' pockets. Their judge out in Oakland, California, heard about that today. It was very interesting. The judge heard final arguments, did not render a verdict, by the way, Jerry. Two of the things that it sounds like it's going to come down to, basically that she is leaning towards approving the House settlement if changes are made to roster limits. And specifically what the judge is looking for is she wants former players that were scholarshiped to be able to phase in and still remain on scholarship of some sort. It sounded like, so a grandfather clause there. And the inclusion, she was somewhat dismissive, and dismissive may not be the right word, but questioned the inclusion of future athletes in the class. In other words, why is any of this have to do with the future of college football and not just reaching back into the past of college sports? So that's the House settlement, the latest there from Ross Dellinger, a friend.
What's your final thought on where this is headed?
I think the House settlement is going to be approved with some caveats, and then the NCAA, unfortunately, has yet again kicked the can down the road and is opening themselves up to untold amounts of legal peril, because what's happening now is they're trying to keep this third party Deloitte consulting firm that's going to decide what's fair and what's not and what fair market value is, and they're going to get sued. They'll get sued the very first, out of the gate, essentially. The minute they decline someone's ability to make more money than what a general roster limit would look like, it's not going to save. So I think the NCAA continues to be proven time and time again that it's kind of a feckless organization and a group of people that just don't understand that they are a business. They're clinging to this idea that they're still a not-for-profit, and they are technically, but they're not in reality. Not when you're talking about billions of dollars incoming from not only the football side of things, but also basketball as well. I would add this, Jerry. One thing I think is going to happen fairly soon is that they will approve this, and these things will go into effect in June or July, I believe it is, July 1. So we'll see what that means for recruiting and official visits, because if these numbers go into effect and this, how would I put it, the salary cap would be into place, it will affect this year's recruiting class. One more piece that I think is interesting. Judge Claudia Wilkin even suggested this would be better settled by collective bargaining.
Yeah, I heard that.
Exactly what we've been talking about. It's how pro leagues typically do it, except for I think Major League Baseball. So look, my point being that this is happening and something that's going to need to be watched, and it will have an effect on Texas Longhorn recruiting, as well as Alabama Crimson Tide and Notre Dame Fighting Irish, etc.
So my two thoughts, Bobby, and let's just see if yours are same or different. This goes through, and you have your $20 million pumped into these schools, and it'll go up over time. The 501c3 collectives are going away in this scenario.
They're gone.
So That doesn't mean a athlete can't earn NIL outside of the $20 million.
Correct.
Correct. So the agents are going to play a key role getting NIL for the athletes at the school in the areas of school they go to. I think it's universities as well. That's my first thought. My second thought is, I think there will be some people that just go back to old style football recruiting, car house, baby.
Yeah, I think so too.
And that's what they do about it.
Yeah, and the thing that look, if it's gonna happen, let's do it above board.
Yeah.
And that's what the NCAA just doesn't, and its member schools don't want to believe. And I would say this as it relates, the problem that you have is not the 501(c) and all that stuff, or 501(c)(3). Jerry, it has to do with fair market value. Look, a booster at the University of Texas could say, I want this guy to represent my business for $100,000 a year right now. Okay. Well, the NCAA is gonna have a third party firm say, oh, that's not right. You can't do that anymore. And what I'm trying to say to you is the minute that happens is there's going to be a lawsuit from that player.
No doubt.
Saying, why can't I take my $100,000? Your rules are prohibitive.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be right. And we're going to end up, like I said, I think it's just kicking the can down the road. They want to put the genie back in the bottle and it ain't going back in.
And that's going to cause the old style recruiting to come back.
It potentially could. I don't think it will, because I think they'll lose in court. So but
what's to stop somebody from going right under the table? Nothing.
Well, yeah, because theoretically they're going to have a stiffer enforcement arm with this, but that's the problem. They're trying to put the genie back in the bottle. They're not going to be able to do it. They continue to try to do it. They just need to get out and do it. All right, let's enough of the negative crap, because that really is negative to me. I hate talking about lawyers, even though my wife was one, so I love her very much, but don't like talking about legal arguments when it comes to football recruiting. Jerry, we're going to get to your questions this evening, talk a little bit about that, as well as Texas basketball had some stuff go on today, adding another player last night, big 7-foot tall kid out of Florida Atlantic. But first, we want to say thank you to our sponsor. Each and every Monday night live stream, Talking Ball, brought to you by Dr. Brett Robin at Austin Orthopedic Institute. Dr. Robin is a former Longhorn running back. If you all remember him, number 25, knows what it takes to stay in the game. And he's here for athletes of all ages. He specializes in musculoskeletal health. Dr. Robin treats joint pain and injuries with a conservative approach, but also offers advanced surgical options for those in need, including arthroscopic procedures, fracture management, total joint replacements. With convenient offices in Austin, Georgetown, and Killeen, Dr. Robin is accepting new patients now. If you're looking for a top-notch orthopedic, give Dr. Robin a call, 512-856-1000. Get back to your active lifestyle and doing what you love to do. That's Dr. Brett Robin, 512-856-1000. Here we go, Jerry. Let's start with this question from Ty Abraham. Ismail Kamara, a 2027 offensive tackle. Is he a Texas target, Jerry?
He's a guy that Texas is definitely looking at, and we'll see what happens when Kyle Flood goes out and makes spring evaluations coming up here. That window opens, I believe, April 15th, but Texas won't get out until later at the end of April and into May. That I think that window goes until pretty much the end of May. But we'll see. We'll see. He's a guy that I expect Kyle Flood to go by Gilmer High and look at in May. Yes. But then we'll see what happens after that.
All right, next question. Chris Bennett says, Sean Miller is on an offer spree today, or at least a re-offer spree.
Yeah.
Austin Gooseby, Jerry, the brother of Trevor Gooseby, the Texas left tackle, plays basketball and is an elite, top 25 national recruit. He's saying he is blessed to receive an offer from the new staff at the University of Texas. Longhorns going hard on Austin Gooseby. And what else is up going on right now with Texas basketball recruiting?
I mean, first of all, Austin, props to you if Mike Gooseby is watching this live stream for having a picture with A.J. Abrams and J.D. Lewis in it. I mean, I know KU, but that man, you went in the Wayback Machine to get that trio on the court together because J.D. Lewis didn't play many minutes on that team. He wasn't Miller's press conference. Yeah, so they offered a lot of kids in-state today, re-offered. Dakari Spear at the Colony, Davion Atkins up in Dallas. Dakari Spears, a 6'4" guard, really good player. So they went out and re-offered some of those 2026s today, which that tells you a couple of things because they had already reached out to members of the Gooseby camp. Ryan Anderson, one of the director of operations, who also is part of the in-house recruiting and player development. They had already reached out to the Gooseby family, but then Sean Miller was on the phone today and made the official re-offer. And you know what that tells you? That Sean Miller and them are nearing completion of their roster because they weren't going to start making those calls. Mike Gooseby. He didn't say J.D. Lewis and A.J. Abrams. A.J. will sell you a house in Austin. He'll sell the Gooseby's a house in Austin. He's a realtor. So it's Coach Miller that made the calls today, multiple guys, obviously. And that tells you that, look, the roster's coming together. They're down to a couple of portal spots, so they got time to breathe now a little bit. They got time to breathe, and I think Lina Trayor, the big from Xavier's, a Texas lean in the portal, and then there'll be one more guard. So, they were able to take a breath. They got 10 guys on the roster now and start to make some of those 26 calls. And the reason they did that today is the live period is coming up the first weekend in May. So Nike circuits, Adidas circuits all around the country. The Adidas tournament's actually in Bryan that weekend where all the top Adidas teams will be. That live period's right around the corner, less than a month away. So you had to re-engage, have those conversations with these kids, make those offers now, those re-offers, and get that process started. What you don't want to happen in recruiting is the first time Austin Gooseby sees you is when you're sitting in the gym watching him play. You want to have contact before, tell him, hey, man, we're re-offering you. We want you to be part of Texas. Here's our plan for you. Yeah, the first time Austin sees Sean Miller, he needs to have talked to Sean Miller wearing a Texas shirt at the Nike tournament in the first weekend in May. So they're on track with what they're doing. I've been told multiple times this is a staff of real hustlers in the recruiting and in evaluation. They're not going to leave any stone unturned. Texas fans, you're in good hands with Sean Miller. I'll continue to say it. You're muted.
Boy, what am I doing? Hey, got questions, comments. We'll get to each and every one of them this evening. We're going to about 7:50, just a little bit before the top of the hour today. Peyton Ross, Jerry, you once said Texas and Sark have no excuse to approach the media and tell us that we're a young team. Our wide receiver room is currently very young. Peyton, I will say this. I agree with what Jerry says there. And it's not just Sark has no excuse for that. It's no college coach these days has any excuse with that, given the transfer portal. One position or so can be young at times, though. I will give you this. If Texas goes and gets a older player, experienced player out of the portal at wide receiver, they won't be particularly young, though. They'll have Wingo. DeAndre Moore will be a junior, redshirt sophomore, whatever you want to call him. They'll have the upperclassman receiver, and Ryan Wingo's a true sophomore. And then backing him up would be a redshirt freshman in Parker Livingstone. Peyton, you're right. Jerry said that. I agree with him. I don't necessarily think that the wide receiver room is going to end up being young, is my point. It is young currently, though.
I think the second team is young. But, I mean, you have two starters back. I mean, that's like you have two starters. And I get it, Peyton, and I said it, and I stand by it. I mean, look, if you're a blue blood, now, if you have some freshmen that come in and they're great players, they're going to play. But it's hard for a fan base to say, wait, you're saying we're a really, really young football team? How is that possible? There's a portal and we're a blue blood. I mean, and that's the reality of it and where Texas is at now is they should not be, we're very young anywhere. But that's where Texas still has after the portal. Let's see after the spring portal where they're at. You add a wide receiver, you add a tight end with experience to that position. You might add another edge. Who knows? They looked at David Bailey, right? They tried another interior defensive lineman. I'm going to say let's see where the chips fall after the spring evaluation period. If they strike out at wide receiver in the portal, which is hard to believe they would, but it has to be the right guy because the freshmen are really good, then I would say their second team is going to be really inexperienced this year. So if they have injuries to one of their two go-to guys, then they do become young.
I've got to ask this loaded question from Slicker. Can you update us on OTF Apparel, Polos app, golf tourney, and thoughts on Duncanville to Dubai? What is that? What is Duncanville to Dubai?
Duncanville is playing a high school football game in Dubai next year at the end of September. Yeah. I can't wait to see video of Reggie samples. They better have a real good field. Reggie's going to go. Reggie will be getting after him if that field's not good now.
They're going to play a high school football game in Dubai.
Yes.
Against who?
I think it's a team. It's a European team. It's a team from Europe that's traveling to Dubai as well. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look it up. I did see that on social media.
That can't be real.
It's real. We've entered a new era.
I give up. I effectively give up. That's a lot of travel for a football game.
That's a lot. That's an expensive get.
Well, I'm sure they're getting it picked the
pay. But still, I mean, think about that. What do you have? 55, 60 kids on varsity, 10 plus coaches, trainers, athletic trainers. I mean, there's boys.
There's money to be had in Dubai.
Right.
I just don't understand what the value it really creates to play a football game there for the players. But I am a fan of travel and believe that travel can be educational. So hopefully that's it. It just seems more like a stunt of sorts.
James Richard, that's
a positive loop there.
James Richard, funny cheerleaders can't wear skirts in Dubai. Cheerleaders probably won't make that one trip.
Can you update us on OTF apparels, polos, apps, golf tourney? So as of right now, we still have a few hats remaining in the store as well as a mug. I'm drinking some hot tea. I've had a cold the last week or so. Golf tourney, we do not have anything scheduled yet. We're talking about trying to figure something out around the start of football season and or end of spring ball. We're still waiting for Chris Del Conte and his team to tell us what's going to go on Fan Appreciation Day, April 26th. We may do something around that time period. As far as apparel and polos, we won't have anything new, quote unquote, out until football season next year. Now, Jerry, can Nick Townsend be a sleeper surprise for the 26th season?
We just got April Fools because that game was an April Fool's joke. So Katie 35, I'm the best said it. I think that game maybe they're saying the game September 3rd. I need to do more research on it. I saw it. I saw it, but we'll see. Nick Townsend, and I'm about to read Charlie Baker just put out a statement too, by the way, on the settlement agreement. Nick Townsend, sleeper surprise. Look, he won't surprise me. He ran 21.6 fully automatic time in the 200 the district track meet last week and is off the regionals in the 200 meters at 230 pounds. I'm not sure how many times that's been done. Maybe Nicholas Harbor in high school, who's a total freak sprinter that likes to play football but doesn't necessarily love football. I just haven't seen that. If he comes in and picks up the offense quickly, like if he had been in the spring, I think he would have pushed big time. If he can come in and pick up the system quickly, I think Nick Townsend definitely plays. I mean, Sark wants to throw the ball down the field. Arch wants to throw the ball down the field. And I think Jordan Washington's a very good player. But Nick Townsend's a different level speed at tight end than I think Texas has seen in my years covering Texas, period.
I do believe that's a April Fool's joke, Jerry. They're saying they would play on September 31st. There is no such September 31st.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see. All right, John, what's the advantage of the settlement if universities are still going to pay NIL. John, this is a great point, and that's the whole idea. They're trying to codify some rules that are favorable to the NCAA and lock them in by back paying NIL, previous NIL. So basically, it's the old, hey, we'll pay you for the back stuff if we can lock in rules that are advantageous to us on the go forward. And I think that that's one of the things the judge found today is like, look, I don't know that you can make this thing go forward as it relates to codifying the rules each and every year. The judge was talking about it today. You want this ruling to apply to middle schoolers to opt into a class they have no idea about. So we'll see it. If you don't mind, Matt, can you bring up Charlie Baker's statement? The NCAA
I can read it too. Today's hearing on the landmark settlement was a significant step in modernizing college sports. If approved, the settlement will allow student athletes the opportunity to receive nearly 50% of athletic department revenue in a sustainable and fair system for years to come.
Up to 50% if you're St. Francis.
Yeah.
They're not getting fit. If the athletes get 30 million or 20 million from Texas, that's roughly 9%. Just to give you an idea. So I hear you. That's great. I still don't think it's equitable. It's certainly not the NFL, even including scholarships or the NBA. So keep that in mind, guys. We'll see how all this shakes out. Again, I'm not an attorney and don't claim to be one, but certainly something that we're going to be keeping an eye on. This one, Jerry, another recruiting question for you. Who is Texas's biggest competition for John Turntine, the offensive line or the offensive tackle out of North Crowley? Is it Tennessee?
Well, by the way, I think we'll play his huddle while we talk about him because Felix Ojo was on campus last weekend. John Turntine scheduled to be on campus Friday, Saturday. Obviously, has a sister that goes to Houston Tillotson. I think another sister going to college in Austin. I think it's A&M and Tennessee. The question is, those are his 3 official visits. The question is, will John Turntine actually go far away for college? I mean, a lot of his family members have stayed close to home, and there are multiple family members. So we'll see what happens there. I guess I would be a little surprised if he left the state, but we'll see what happens with Tennessee. I think it'll be a very, very interesting recruitment. I really don't know which way it'll go. I know John really likes Texas, but one of the things I know Felix Ojo likes Texas. I know Roseboro likes Texas. I think Sam Utu likes Texas. I posted a story on offensive line recruiting this morning, but all these guys won't. The way the dominoes are going to fall, this house settlement agreement, the way everything's going to fall. You're just all you're trying to do if you're Kyle Flood is you get Turntine, you get Ojo from in-state in at tackle, you get Roseboro, you get Cody Green, Sam Utu's kind of a swing player, Malachi Lee from Honolulu is a swing player that's visiting. So, but those 4 tackles, you're just trying to get 2 of those guys, man. They love them all. I mean, look, it wouldn't surprise me at the end of the day if Cody Green wasn't the best of all of them. It wouldn't. I'm not saying he is. It wouldn't surprise me if Turntine was. It won't surprise me either way on these guys. They're all really, really good players. Like they're all top 75 prospects in the country. So it really comes down to which of these guys maximize their talent, stays healthy, that sort of thing, right? And works at it. And really then some of the intangibles, but if you're Texas, you're really trying to ensure you get 2 of these guys because the 4 tackles, the guys that are for sure tackles coming in are all really, really good players. And then you already have Max Wright, who is a tackle or interior guy. And I think Texas will take 3 tackle types in this class.
Got it.
By the way, the Duncanville Dubai was April Fool's. I hadn't read it. I fell for it.
You fell for it, Jerry Hamilton. Hey. It happens, dude. It happens. Ben, with a super chat. Thank you, Ben. What wide receiver has stepped up with Wingo and Moore out? We've heard nothing but really, really positive things surrounding Parker Livingstone, really from the first day of camp, Jerry. He's kind of continued that on. What about the young freshmen? We've heard Dalen McCutcheon doing really well. Comparatively, Jamie French has done well. Kalik Lockett and Michael Terry. We've heard Michael Terry working a lot out of the slot right now. Of course, they won't get back on the practice field until tomorrow. They've been off. The team's been off since Thursday, at least from the practice field. So we'll have to wait and see. But Ben, as of right now, Parker Livingstone is the one that we've kind of got circled with both Ryan Wingo out with a hamstring, DeAndre Moore recuperating from a toe surgery in the offseason. All right, Aloha Traveler. I'll second what Rick said. I would add running back. Rick, I think, was talking about wanting the wide receiver issue in the portal. I know you guys are high on this room, but I'm not seeing it. Texas needs a true number one running back in the portal. So here's the question I would ask for you, Aloha Traveler. Is there going to be a running back in the portal that has 1,000-yard season? Is there?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've said before.
Is there going to be a better running back in the portal than Trey Wisner?
I actually think, if Cedric Baxter comes back to 95% of what he was, Texas has now two number one running backs, and some young talent behind him. I like James Simon. Christian Clark's way ahead of where he was. We'll see where Jarrett Gibson is next season. But I've maintained this, and I'm going to maintain this. Ohio State got Quinshon Judkins with Travion Henderson last year, but they didn't have Cedric Baxter coming off injury either. So it's going to be hard if a 1,000-yard, 1,200-yard rusher jumped in the portal from a really good school. I mean, Quinshon Judkins was in the SEC at Ole Miss. So it's going to be really hard if Texas went after that guy for that kid to see the opportunity for him at Tech. That's the issue, is they're good. I think they're good at running back. And I think Trey Wise will be a better player than he was last year because he's going to be stronger and bigger as he continues to get bigger. The problem is I don't think it's a real inviting situation unless you go out and Texas Tech it and make some massive offer that you just can't refuse. And I just don't think Texas will do that. Now, could they get a piece? We'll see what Chad Scott thinks after the spring.
My take is name 10 returning running backs in the country that you'd rather have than Trey Wisner. Okay, and are any of those guys transferring? You know, that's I think it's a little harder to find guys that are going to beat out a guy that rushed for 1,000 yards at Texas last year. That's just my opinion. That is still getting better, actually. I mean, his body is still transforming. I don't think we've seen the best of Trey Wisner yet, guys. I just want to put that out there. And I think that's the kind of player he's going to be, where you always see something a little bit better, a little bit different. Roger here says, I haven't heard any updates on Hero Canoe, Brad Spence, Cole Brevard, or Travis Shaw. I'm starting to think Trey Moore will move positions because the addition of Hero Canoe is impactful and the defensive line. So we've talked a little bit about Brevard and Shaw, a little less about Spence and Canoe. Brevard and Shaw are absolutely in the rotation at Texas. Spence is going to be in the rotation. Canoe, we have not heard as much about. Alex January, I think, is definitely going to be in the rotation as well. We'll see if Canoe makes it in that same category.
Yeah, I expect him to be. Yes, I expect him to be.
Okay.
Brad Spence he was slowed in some of the workouts prior to spring practice, from what I was told. So he's been going through a little bit of getting healthy, but he was out there and ready to roll for the first spring practice. But he did miss some winter conditioning workouts.
All right, a couple other questions here. There was one that I wanted to get from Kenneth Cassidy. Kenneth, thank you for the question. Bobby and Jerry, would you put more emphasis on tight end or wide receiver in the portal? I'm not hearing a lot of positive reports on the tight end route. Well, first of all, one of the key returnees for Texas for next year at tight end is injured right now, and that's Jordan Washington. I mean, he's out with a shoulder problem, probably for the rest of spring. So you're right. That's difficult. You're not going to hear much. Spencer Shannon and Emery Winston along with Will Randall, are the only scholarship tight ends working out right now. I want to ask, the question is more about this. Would you put more emphasis on tight end or wide receiver in the portal? The answer is not. It's not an either or question to me. It's a both. Don't you think you have to do both, Jerry?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's so, who makes more money, or if you want to talk about the emphasis that way, I don't know. I mean, I think that depends on the quality of the player, actually. Jerry, this one from Ivory Martin. What's the word on Tank King, the linebacker out of Port Arthur? He's committing on July 4th. You heard much about that? I know Texas was involved.
Yeah, he's committing on. He has his date set for July 4th. And he has officials. He'll be at Texas June 13th. He's got A&M. He's got a couple others. The question will be, is he going to leave home? Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman went to Port Arthur to see him. Michigan, there's USC. There's been a lot of people actually go to PA to see him. He's a Memorial. He'll be a 4-year starter at inside linebacker. I think this one will could really well come down to how hard does Texas push for him. And just because you're making an official visit doesn't mean they're going to make the big push. Because look, again, this house settlement agreement, I mean, what does that do? I mean, a kid could like Texas more than a certain other school, and a certain other school has a much higher on their board for NIL, right, Bobby? And that changes the course of the recruitment. But Texas has more. They have a puncher's chance in this. We'll see who they push for at linebacker. He is not the frame type that Nansen's been offering and really going after, but Tank King's a really good player and a natural inside backer. So he doesn't have to be as long-limbed and rangy and long-armed as those outside guys that Nansen's been recruiting. He's a really good football player.
All right, Josie, does Sark speak tomorrow? Yes, he does, after practice around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Also, congratulations to Sark and his wife, L'Oreal, for the baby they had last week. So Texas had, like I said, they get back on the practice field, I think around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Sark will speak to the media at around 11. We, of course, will be there. CJ and Jeff Howe on site for us tomorrow. Jerry, one of the final questions here tonight. I fell for it too, Jerry, on the Duncanville stuff. Other questions. Who are your top War Daddy recruits that Texas must get in the 2026 class? What position is most in need? What position is most in need, and who are the War Daddy recruits?
I know people won't agree with this. My in-state guy is actually Jamion Winfield at Richardson, and it's because Kyle Flood has so many good offensive linemen on the board. I don't even worry that he's going to get really good players on the offensive line, a 5-man class. It's going to be really impressive. So I look at, if the fans are going to have different ones they like more than others. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to get really, really good players on the offensive line. And so then I say, okay, well, that'll take care of itself. And but I want to say this. There's not a Colin Simmons. There's not one guy that I'm like, and I love John Turntine. I love some of these guys, but Colin Simmons was a guy that you knew he was going to LSU if you didn't get him. He was going to stay in the SEC. He was at Duncanville High School in DFW. Texas had made that their home with this staff and knew they had to win in DFW and had won. And Colin Simmons was kind of the icing on the cake for me in DFW, and a pass rusher that, as a prospect, that Texas hadn't maybe ever recruited that level of a kid out of high school. So that was different. So there's not that guy for me. I think D-line, Jamion Winfield, because all the guys in-state group isn't great. Out-of-state group's where it's at, and those are battles. So my in-state guy is Jamion Winfield. Out-of-state, that's a tough one. I mean, I think Texas is really good at so many spots with their young kids. I mean, I might lean D-line again, just because I think Texas would like to get to a position where they don't have to go 3 or 4 in the portal every year. Maybe just go 1 or 2 in the portal instead of having the pressure of going 3 or 4 in the portal when there's not as many of those guys and they're high leverage recruitments. I might stay D-line, the Southeast, the Kendall Gervilles, the Vodney Clevelands, the Tico Crittenens, those type of guys. Texas needs to pull. They need to find a way to get Winfield away from USC in-state, and then pull a couple of those guys out of state from the Southeast region because they did a really good job on Myron Charles. Florida's stronger competition than ever. All those kids in state. I would go with Winfield and then out-of-state D-line in this class.
What about Jalen Lott?
Yeah, I mean, but again, like I'm thinking Colin Simmons. Like, who is that guy? Like, I think Jamion Winfield could be a first-round pick as an interior defensive lineman, and I just don't think there's that many of those guys out there.
You're looking more like a line of scrimmage guy when you talk War Daddy, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah,
that's fair. All right,
and I think Lott's a tremendous player, by the way.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question. We're going to take a couple more questions before we let you guys go tonight. I want to say thank you again to our sponsor, each and every Monday night Talking Ball episode, brought to you by our friend Dr. Brett Robin at Austin Orthopedic Institute, a former Longhorn running back. He knows what it takes to stay in the game. Dr. Robin's here for all athletes of all ages, specializing in musculoskeletal health. Dr. Robin treats joint pain and injuries with a conservative approach first, but also offers advanced surgical options, including arthroscopic procedures, fracture management, and total joint replacements. With convenient offices in Austin, Georgetown, and Killeen, Dr. Robin is accepting new patients now. If you're looking for a top-notch orthopedic specialist, give Dr. Robin a call, 512-856-1000. That's 512-856-1000. Get back to your active lifestyle and doing what you love. Make sure you reach out to Dr. Brett Robin. He's accepting new patients now.
A couple of things before we get out of here. LL, Winfield's OV is June 13th through 15th. Matt, could you bring up the basketball roster? Because I want to read somebody on ontexasfootball.com. AeroKids27, you should be on the OTF on the basketball threads if you're not already at a different handle. This is the current Texas roster with Matas, I'll never say his last name, now part of next year's team. 3 guys out of the portal, and they are all long, athletic dudes at forward. Camden Hyde, Dalen Swain, who I think may be a first-round pick in the NBA draft, either after next year or 2 years. For Texas' sake, you hope it's 2 years, but the Rady's improving, I don't know. And Matas, the AAC freshman of the year at FAU, really came on late in the season. I think he was like 17 and 8 rebounds the last 8-9 games of the year. I think after 2 years at Texas, he will be obviously he's a center. He will be on NBA draft boards as well. And so what's left for Texas? There's a big and a combo guard. And that combo guard needs to have enough size. Shoot, it can't be a non-shooter. It has to be able to shoot it, has to be able to handle it. That is going to have to be a ball pressure guy. But I wanted to read something because Lina Trayor, the big from Xavier, who had come over to Xavier from Long Beach State last year, I know that if he had stayed healthy, Traore, Xavier thought they were a Sweet 16 team with a shot to be an Elite 8 team. And I want to read something that I was posted on Texas Football from one of our great basketball posters over there. He brought this quote up on Lina Traore right after he got injured last year. He hurt his knee and missed the season for Xavier. He was a double-double guy at Long Beach State. Sean Miller said, Lina was a starter on this year's team. He had a great summer in preseason where he had improved his game as much as any player in our program. He emerged to be our team's best rebounder, low post defender, and shot blocker. He was in superior condition and became a tone setter for everything that impacts winning. We will miss his ability and presence. No one can replace him. That's what he said about Traore. So if Traore goes to Texas, as I suspect he will, Texas will have shored up this will be the best looking interior group in terms of size, length, strength that Texas has had in a long time. That other combo guard will be really, really key for next season's team. But a little hat tip to Sean Miller, Augie, and the staff, what they've done in short order. They're putting together a pretty good roster for next year. If they get Traore, which I suspect they will, I think it'd be an upset if they didn't. And then they add that combo guard who can score it, shoot it, and handle it. They've set themselves up pretty well in year one.
Well, let's finish with this one. Jermaine Bishop, the young man out of Willis, Texas. Jerry, he lists, I've seen him list as weighing 155 pounds, but I've also seen people mention him as a top 10 prospect in the state of Texas.
I think he's a tremendous prospect. He is 155 like Xavier Worthy was 155. He is a physical, fearless football player who can absolutely turn on the jets. It's explosive. Will play through contact as a smaller player, but he's about 6 feet tall. And I think he'll end up being a 170-pound guy. I don't know if he'll stay as I call small as Xavier Worthy was. I think he may frame out a little bit more than that, be closer to 170, 175. He reminds me of some kids I've seen in South Florida over the years that were, when they got to a college weight program, they just kind of blew up a little bit, and you end up looking up and they're like 15 pounds more the first time they play in a college game, like 18 pounds more. So I think his frame might add a little more bulk weight, but that dude is a fearless. I saw him in person when I went to see DJ Lagway senior year. That kid plays like he's 185. He is a fearless football player.
Gotcha. Slick Rick, Aloha Traveler, Ben, as well as, Slick Rick. Thank you all for your super chats, and thank everybody else for hanging out with us tonight. We'll have more in the morning on the house settlement issue. There are going to be some other feedback quotes, etc. We're going to try to have somebody on to talk a little bit more seriously about it on Coffee and Football. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Thank you also to our producer behind the scenes, Matt Hutchinson, as well as Jerry Hamilton, the best there is out there. I'm Bobby Burton. Thank you also to Dr. Brett Robin, orthopedic specialist over at Austin Orthopedic Institute. You guys have a good Monday night. Have fun watching a little college basketball. We'll see you in the morning. Hook up.